The Israel-Lebanon border is a tinderbox. A single spark could ignite a regional inferno. The recent conflict underscores this dangerous reality. The stakes are incredibly high. Hezbollah, backed by Iran, poses a significant threat to Israel. Their missile arsenal is a constant concern. Cross-border attacks are a recurring nightmare. The potential for escalation is ever present. Lebanon is caught in the middle. Its fragile stability is constantly threatened. The presence of Hezbollah complicates matters. The nation is vulnerable to spillover. The international community watches with bated breath. The conflict has far-reaching implications. The region is on edge. The world cannot afford another major war. China's influence in the Middle East is growing. Its economic interests are expanding. It is a major player in the region. Its role cannot be ignored. Beijing's focus is primarily economic. Energy security is a top priority. Trade routes are vital. Stability is essential for its investments. China has strong ties with Iran. They share a distrust of the US. Economic cooperation is increasing. This relationship adds complexity to the regional dynamics. China's approach is pragmatic. It avoids direct military intervention. It prefers diplomatic solutions. Economic leverage is its preferred tool. Russia views the Middle East as a chessboard. It seeks to expand its influence. It challenges American dominance. It plays a complex game. Syria is a key pawn in this game. Russia's military presence is significant. It supports the Assad regime. It projects power in the region. Moscow has close ties with Iran. They share strategic interests. They cooperate on military matters. This alliance poses a challenge to the West. Russia is opportunistic. It exploits regional instability. It seeks to gain advantage. Its actions can be unpredictable. Hezbollah is a powerful force in Lebanon. It is backed by Iran. It acts as a proxy. It poses a threat to Israel. Iran uses proxies to advance its agenda. It seeks regional hegemony. It opposes American influence. It destabilizes the region. Hezbollah's missile arsenal is formidable. It can strike deep into Israel. It is a constant source of tension. It fuels the cycle of violence. The group's influence extends beyond Lebanon. It operates in Syria. It supports other militant groups. It is a regional player. The Israel-Lebanon conflict could escalate rapidly. Several pathways exist. The situation is highly volatile. The consequences could be catastrophic. A direct confrontation between Israel and Hezbollah could spiral out of control. Iranian intervention could widen the conflict. Regional powers could be drawn in. The United States could intervene to support Israel. This could lead to a clash with Russia. A superpower confrontation is a nightmare scenario. The conflict could spill over into neighboring countries. This could destabilize the entire region. The humanitarian cost would be immense. The spectre of a US-Russia confrontation. A US-Russia confrontation in the Middle East is a terrifying prospect. Both powers have significant military presence in the region. A clash could have global consequences. The risk of miscalculation is high. Tensions are already elevated. A small incident could trigger a major conflict. The world cannot afford such a scenario. Both sides possess nuclear weapons. The possibility of nuclear escalation is a chilling thought. The stakes are higher than ever before. The world must avoid this catastrophe. Communication and diplomacy are essential. Both sides must engage in dialogue. They must find ways to manage their differences. The future of the world depends on it. Economic warfare and global instability. The conflict could trigger economic warfare. Sanctions could be imposed. Trade routes could be disrupted. Global markets could be destabilized. Oil prices could skyrocket. Energy security would be threatened. Economic hardship could spread. Global recession could follow. Cyber attacks could cripple critical infrastructure. Financial systems could be targeted. Chaos could ensue. The global economy is vulnerable. International cooperation is essential to mitigate these risks. Economic interdependence makes us all vulnerable. We must work together to protect the global economy. The imperative of diplomacy. Diplomacy is the only way to prevent a wider conflict. All parties must engage in constructive dialogue. They must find common ground. They must compromise. The United Nations has a crucial role to play. It must facilitate negotiations. It must provide a platform for dialogue. It must promote peaceful solutions. Regional powers must exercise restraint. They must avoid escalating tensions. They must prioritize stability. They must work towards a peaceful resolution. The international community must speak with one voice. It must condemn violence. It must support diplomatic efforts. It must work towards a lasting peace. A world on the brink. The world stands on the brink of a major conflict. The Israel-Lebanon conflict could be the catalyst. The situation is extremely dangerous. The stakes are incredibly high. The international community must act decisively. It must prevent further escalation. It must find a peaceful solution. It must save the world from disaster. The future of the Middle East hangs in the balance. The stability of the region is at risk. The lives of millions are at stake. The world cannot afford another war. We must learn from the mistakes of the past. We must choose diplomacy over conflict. We must build a future of peace and security. We must work together to save our planet. Preventing the unthinkable. Preventing a global conflict requires a concerted effort. All nations must work together. We must prioritize peace and stability. We must act now. Dialogue is essential. We must communicate with each other. We must understand each other's concerns. We must find common ground. Compromise is necessary. We must be willing to give and take. We must find solutions that work for everyone. We must put aside our differences. We must invest in diplomacy. We must strengthen international institutions. We must support peace-building efforts. We must work towards a better future.